Hey, good morning, all. Just on my way to have breakfast with the boys, and thought I'd put some observations or thoughts out there on a few fronts that have been kind of screaming this week. I guess first and foremost, just the mainstream media, kind of in general. There are people that are kind of hanging on, clinging on to what the mainstream media, and at this point I'm wholly, solidly, and completely have Fox News in the mainstream media kind of category, and I have for a long time. It's been several months since I've watched Fox News, other than the occasional soundbite that I get through kind of what I consider alternative outlets. If anybody or any interviews become available or noted worth watching, I'll kind of selectively go listen to them. I do think Maria Bartiromo is kind of asking a lot of the right questions. She's talking to a lot of the right people, and tends to be a little bit more kind of fact based. Tucker Carlson, obviously, is where this is mostly coming from. He People got all bent out of shape around his questioning, his questioning of Sidney Powell, and I guess I'm not going to get that bent out about it because, number one, I did watch it because I don't watch them, but number two, and this is kind of what prompted me to kind of put something out there, is that I'm not a lawyer, so I'll start there, but Sidney Powell, Rudy, the rest of the team that's doing what they're doing, they've got a lot to do in a very short amount of time to prove their case and to right this election. I'm very interested in anything and everything they can do to make that right, because if I have comfort, if I have confidence in legally how this is dealt with, then I can move forward for the next 4 years, regardless of the outcome. That's where everyone should be. You should want to have confidence that the checks and balances in our system, regardless of any nefarious activity, have done their job to make us feel confident. Okay, we lost. Let's concede and go forward for the next 4 years. Now, we may have gotten past all that, but that's kind of where my head is. And so Sidney Powell, as I understand it, is she provided Tucker offline, some affidavits, and there was some, and there was affidavits, and there was a couple of other things that she provided to Tucker, which he wasn't satisfied with, and I guess his tone back to her, pushing for more. Sidney's like, here, if that's not good enough for you, then I'm sorry. That was kind of what I got out of it. And again, it's not the job of our legal team that's trying to bring light and visibility into what happened during the election cycle. It's not their job to pacify the media, which is not going to happen. It is not going to happen. And the media has proven themselves, the mainstream media has proven themselves to twist and turn everything that they have been provided against we the people. So it's not the job of our legal team, to pacify the media, who in turn would look to pacify us. I think it's notable that they're making an effort to communicate the best ways possible to we the people what they're doing and what's going on. But with the precious cycles available to them, they shouldn't have to go through a lot of churn to pacify the media. That's where my head is. So Tucker, for what it's worth, get over it. And frankly, I'm over it. So I'm not going to let the media. And I think at some level, the media's job is to get us all into a tizzy, to get us all worked up, to get us all anxious and excited and angry. That's a big part of what they're trying to do, as well as divide us. Anger and anxiousness and all of that divides people, and that's what they want. And I wish people would just kind of wake up and see and realize that. So I have peace of mind. I'm confident, almost maybe to a fault, that this whole thing is going to get exposed and this whole thing is going to turn out proper, and Trump's going to win his second term. That's where my head is, and I have no reason to doubt that that's going to be exposed. The voting system, the mail-in ballot processes they're going through, there's blatant nefariousness and question marks around everything that's going on, and for the media to keep badgering where's the proof. I mean, to me, it's just asinine. I just don't listen to it. I really don't. They've long since lost their value as news outlets. So I just don't pay attention to it anymore, and you shouldn't either. You should just turn it off. If you want to know what's going on, pay attention to the Sidney Powells, the Trumps. I think they do a good job of telling you what they think and what they see. Now watch the press conferences. That press conference that Rudy, Sidney Powell, and the rest of the team did the other day was beautiful. I loved hearing it. There's a lot of work in progress. They're going to use the system, the checks and balances, to at least expose and put their case out there, and the right thing will happen. So that's kind of where my head is on all of that, and I think you too as well should just turn off Fox News, turn off mainstream media. I've been saying it for months and months now, and I think more and more people are kind of waking up to that. Newsmax is awesome. Now, granted, and Newsmax I think does a really good job of being fair and balanced, which is kind of what you want. I don't want to hear an echo chamber of pro Trump. I mean, they certainly provide counterpoints to a lot of that, and which I think is healthy. But they provide what I find to be pretty darn good news across the board, and I think they're fair and balanced, and a lot of what they're articulating, I think, makes a lot of sense to me. So that's very refreshing. I also I think it's One America news channel, and I also go there to listen to Steve Bannon's kind of what do you call it? The War Room. That 2-hour show from 10 to 12 in the morning, and then from 5 o'clock to 7 at night, the War Room with Steve Bannon. I watch that. On Blaze TV, I like listening to Glenn Beck program, and there's a few others. I think Steve Deese. I think it's Steve Deese that comes on, after Glenn Beck. So during the day when I'm working, because I don't have time all day long just to watch and listen to news all the time, so I'm kind of in and out. But I usually have the news going on in the background while I'm working. And if I can, I'll kind of pay attention if something kind of pops up. But before and where you go, because a lot of people they'll talk about these channels, but they don't tell you how to watch it. Pluto TV, it's an Android, iPhone app. It's free. My smart TV, also, I'm able to use Pluto TV, so it's a free streaming service to watch channels, and that's where I get Newsmax. That's where it's an internet feed. That's where I get Blaze TV. I think it's One America News Network. But Steve Bannon's War Room is how I found that channel. So those three channels. The only reason why I don't listen to OAN is I tend to listen to the news more in the morning when I first get up, and they usually play the previous evening's news. And as you well know, in this day and time, anything that's 12 hours old is old. It's not relevant anymore. So I like to listen to more at the moment, real-time commentary and analysis and news of what's going on. So I hope OAN starts picking up and their news reporting, maybe doing it at least Monday through Friday in the mornings earlier, like Newsmax does. But Newsmax tends to be more live news throughout the day, and starting at 7 in the morning, even earlier than that in some cases. So OAN, I think, needs to do that. Now, just to give you some thoughts on Newsmax and these channels, on the weekend, Newsmax doesn't really have anything. They play a lot of old reporting on like World War II and the Nazi Germany and a lot of that. So on the weekends, there's really nothing on Newsmax that I've seen. Now, it's usually in the mornings that I tend to kind of just sit down, drink my coffee, and see what's going on. Nothing on Newsmax. Now, maybe later in the day, some programming picks up. I'm not really sure. But I guess the point is, where do I get where do I get a lot of my news and reporting? I was using YouTube quite a bit for a lot of the streaming channels there. I do like, what is it? There's a news feed, Right Side Broadcasting. Also, Golden State Times is another good one that I've used in the past. But anytime there are press conferences, anytime there are like the Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell press conference, Right Side Broadcasting, had it unedited, uninterrupted. I never watch these things through news channels because they tend to chime in. They cut it off short, like what's his name, Coluto did a while back. I mean, I wasn't watching, but I heard that's what he did. I don't want to be filtered. I don't want that to be filtered through them. Cavuto was hugely disappointing, by the way. I used to kind of like him, but wow. It's like, again, when Cavuto started doing a lot of the things he was doing, when Fox News started bringing in a lot of these hard leftists onto their programming months and months, probably a year plus back, that's when I started kind of tuning them out. I used to like watching The Five and Jesse Waters, so I always had a lot of respect. I do today as well. Greg Gutfeld. I really wish those people would just leave and go to places like a Newsmax. I'd like Newsmax to become a little bit more than what they are today. And right now, I think those channels, OAN, Newsmax, Blaze TV, One America, I think they're in that sweet spot where they're not huge, where they're completely relevant to the masses, and so you're getting really good reporting and really good, fair reporting. My fear is that at some point they are going to be the big dogs and they're going to get corrupted. Money, influence, and the elites are going to try to get involved and skew the way that they report the news that's out there. So now's a good time, and hopefully they can hold on to that relevancy for a while, if not going forward. My thinking is, once Trump wins the second term, which he's going to do, that his second term is going to be lights out. I think my sense now at this point is that, the first term was all about setting the stage and waking people up and getting certain things in motion. I think phase 2 is going to be, okay, execute and pull the trigger. So loading the gun, phase 1, shooting the gun in phase 2. That's kind of my analogy. And I think, frankly, that's why the elites and the deep state and the far left is fighting as hard as they are. And also there's also a lot of clarity now to why the Bidens and Kamala and the deep state have positioned and done what they've done. It's like, why? I thought for a long time, why did they pick Biden? I mean, of all people to pick, I mean, he is just an empty shell of a person. Why didn't he campaign? Hillary didn't campaign, and that slipped through the cracks. But they're not going to make that happen again. In any event, I just wanted to get on here about the news outlets, where you should go. Quit watching Fox News. Quit watching the mainstream media, which Fox News is. Don't let them get you spun up and upset and angry. The legal team needs to focus and deal with the task at hand, which is the court cases and getting this election process done properly, fairly, in a way that we all can embrace and agree with. And it's not about fixing the election system for next time. We got to fix this one. So that's kind of where my head is on all that. Love to hear your feedback, people.